The film begins by showing a gripping scene unfolding in the heart of Los Angeles, where a group of criminals frantically flees from the relentless pursuit of the police. At that time, the neon lights of the city skyline flicker in the distance as the tension thickens. Meanwhile, a young boy wakes up a messy and unemployed man named John Hancock from his sleep. At that time, Hancock, who was tired from drinking too much the previous night, had fallen asleep on an old chair by the side of the road. Then, the boy urgently alerts Hancock to the live broadcast of the police chasing the criminals. Stirred into action, Hancock hastily rises, grabbing a bottle of potent spirits, and suddenly takes to the skies, akin to the mighty Superman. Unfortunately, Hancock's drunkenness continued to affect him. He had a hard time keeping his balance and came dangerously close to a group of birds flying gracefully in the sky. The crowd watched anxiously as he almost crashed into a passing plane, causing a sense of fear and emphasizing how risky his airborne adventure was. Then, by unfortunate chance, Hancock's drunken flying takes him straight into a disastrous collision with a signboard. In the process, he unintentionally destroys the police cars that were chasing some criminals. Despite his initial desire to help the police, Hancock unknowingly makes their difficult situation even worse. Long story short, Hancock found himself inside the criminals' car. There, he calmly asked them to surrender to the police. However, the criminals brutally shot at him. Little did they know that Hancock is the strongest human on Earth, with invincible muscles and bones like Superman. Even bullets cannot penetrate his body. Seeing that, the criminals were surprised and accidentally broke Hancock's bottle of liquor, which made him angry. Shortly after, Hancock forcefully stopped the criminals' car and placed it atop a tall tower. Despite successfully apprehending the criminals, Hancock didn't receive any praise from the people of Los Angeles. Instead, the public and the city government criticized him because every time he intervened, public property got damaged. This time, due to Hancock's actions, the city of Los Angeles suffered a loss of $9 million. That night, feeling frustrated, Hancock decided to go to a bar. Unexpectedly, he caught the attention of a woman named Nile. There, she flirted with him at the bar and ended up going to his caravan with him. Soon after, Nile attempted to seduce Hancock once again. At first, he resisted her advances. However, after seeing her attractive body, Hancock's desire got the better of him, and he wanted to engage in intimate relations with her. But his passionate approach to do that was not like that of an ordinary person. His intense actions almost destroyed his caravan. At that moment, Nile became frightened by Hancock's behavior and quickly ran away from his caravan. The following day, an employee named Ray Embrey was seen giving a presentation at his company. Ray was explaining a program called All Heart to his superiors. All Heart was a branding initiative for the company. At that time, Ray suggested that in order to use the All Heart logo, the company should offer some of their products for free as donations. Unfortunately, the leaders immediately rejected his proposal, fearing it would harm the company. In the end, Ray decided to head home. However, while on the way, his car got stuck in a traffic jam and ended up stranded on a railroad track without an escape route. Knowing that, he was panicked because he realized that he couldn't get out as a train approached. Fortunately, Hancock suddenly appeared and swiftly threw Ray's car out of harm's way, although Hancock himself was hit by the train. Unfortunately, the residents once again protested against Hancock for causing damage to the train. As the people criticized him, Ray approached Hancock to express gratitude and defend him. Ray then invited Hancock to visit his house. Upon arriving, Hancock got acquainted with Ray's son, Aaron, and Ray's wife, Mary. Initially, Hancock planned to go home right away, but Aaron turned out to be a big fan of him despite his unemployment and superpowers. Besides that, Ray invited him to stay for dinner since Mary had prepared spaghetti meatballs. On the other hand, Hancock, feeling hungry, decided to join them for the meal. While they were eating together, Ray shared that Aaron was being bullied by a boy named Michael. Upon hearing this, Hancock advised Aaron to stand up to Michael. However, Mary disagreed with that suggestion, believing that it's natural for kids like Aaron and Michael to engage in fights. Sadly, her attitude reflected that of many residents in Los Angeles who disliked Hancock. Shortly after finishing dinner, Hancock bid farewell and prepared to go home. Then, Ray walked him to the door while Mary seemed still irritated with Hancock. Before flying off into space, Ray offered Hancock image consulting services, suggesting that he could help improve Hancock's reputation with the people of Los Angeles. Soon after, he handed Hancock his business card, allowing him to contact him whenever needed. However, Hancock didn't show any interest in his offer. At night, Mary questioned Ray's decision to assist Hancock. She believed that Hancock, despite having superpowers, was just an unemployed person who caused damage to public property. Unbeknownst to them, Hancock overheard her words while perched on the roof of Ray's house. The following day, Hancock contemplated Mary's words and became determined to change and become a better person. He decided to pay another visit to Ray's house. Then, as Hancock approached, he was insulted by a boy named Michael, who frequently bothered Aaron. At first, Hancock hesitated to respond, but Michael persistently mocked him, and it provoked Hancock's anger, leading him to throw Michael into the sky, leaving him exhausted. Afterward, Ray invited Hancock inside and began to address his shortcomings, particularly his laziness. There, he explained that the people of Los Angeles saw Hancock as a selfish man who never considered the feelings of others, including children. Therefore, he proposed a plan to change Hancock's public image. Unexpectedly, Ray came up with an idea to turn Hancock into the police. Soon after, Ray suggested that Hancock should spend 2 weeks in jail as a way to make amends. He believed that people would miss Hancock, given the high crime rate in Los Angeles. After careful consideration, Hancock agreed to Ray's proposal. Before going to jail, he held a press conference to apologize to the residents of Los Angeles who had suffered because of his actions. The next day, Hancock was transferred to the most notorious prison in Los Angeles. The facility housed many notorious criminals, most of whom had been apprehended by Hancock. Consequently, the prisoners held a grudge against him, and upon his arrival, they immediately surrounded him, ready to attack. Some prisoners even challenged Hancock to a direct fight, and it provoked his anger. Then, he gives the inmates a warning signal. Soon after, news of Hancock's tumultuous actions reached Ray, who was now responsible for overseeing his case. At that time, Ray made an effort to persuade Hancock to be more patient as his sentence had been extended. He convinced Hancock that he could be a humble and respectful person. As a result, he included Hancock in a repentance group for prisoners within the jail. He also taught Hancock the importance of praising and respecting others. As time passed, crime rates continued to rise in Los Angeles due to Hancock's absence. The following day, Mary and Aaron visited Hancock in prison. There, she brought along Hancock's favorite spaghetti meatballs. She pleaded with Hancock not to disappoint Ray, emphasizing that Ray was a kind and sincere individual. After sharing the spaghetti meatballs, Mary and Aaron bid their farewells and headed home. Since Mary's visit, Hancock pondered every word she had spoken. He started to avoid trouble in the prison and instead preferred to spend his time drawing in his cell. Sometime later, Ray paid another visit to Hancock, carrying a superhero costume with him. He believed that Hancock's image would improve if he wore the costume. Meanwhile, Hancock had undergone significant changes during his time in prison. He had learned to control himself and had become more open to connecting with others. After this transformation, Hancock received a summons from the head of the Los Angeles police. Hancock quickly shaved his beard to appear more presentable and handsome. Meanwhile, the police were engaged in a fierce shootout with a group of robbers led by a notorious criminal named Parker. Parker was a feared robber who had been on the wanted list in Los Angeles for a long time. Soon after, Hancock arrived at the scene. However, this time he was different. He was wearing the costume given to him by Ray and managed to land without causing any damage to the road. Without wasting any time, Hancock confidently approached the crime scene, effortlessly brushing aside the hail of bullets fired at him. Then, he immediately began helping the injured police officers before proceeding into the bank to rescue the hostages. Unfortunately, Hancock's arrival instilled panic in Parker as he swiftly neutralized Parker's henchmen without being detected. Desperate, Parker threatened to detonate a sticky bomb attached to the hostages' bodies, capable of destroying the bank. In response to the threat, Hancock swiftly grabbed an iron plate and hurled it with precision, severing Parker's hand. This rendered Parker unable to trigger the explosion, resulting in the hostages' survival thanks to Hancock's heroic actions. Once again, the city of Los Angeles was safe and secure. At that time, the atmosphere was filled with happiness as the police and townspeople, brimming with joy, applauded enthusiastically, their hands clapping in unison, uttering Hancock's name with reverence. Yet, amidst the exultant celebration, a disquieting discomfort crept over Hancock, compelling him to swiftly depart from the scene. His valiant act of rescue had freed him from the confines of prison, elevating him to the status of an idol among the denizens of Los Angeles. On a moonlit evening, Ray and Mary extended a heartfelt invitation to Hancock, beckoning him to join them for a dinner at a charming restaurant. Amidst the shared repast, an inquisitive Hancock asked about the tale of Ray and Mary's fortuitous encounter. Meanwhile, Ray, with a tender melancholy in his eyes, disclosed the tragic loss of his wife during childbirth, which led him to a chance rendezvous with Mary amidst the aisles of a bustling supermarket, which was a serendipitous encounter that kindled a blossoming love within their hearts. Unlike Ray, Hancock's love life was quite dull, except for a special connection he had with Niall. Hancock didn't know where he came from, and his memory started when he woke up confused in a hospital room. He had trouble sleeping at night and strangely, injections didn't affect him. Furthermore, Hancock didn't have his own name, so a kind nurse at the hospital gave him the name John Hancock for official purposes. This mysterious situation happened a long time ago, around 80 years ago. It made him stay forever young and immortal, but he felt incredibly lonely without any family or friends. Hearing that, Ray and Mary were deeply moved and felt empathy for him. One day, Ray drank too much alcohol and couldn't drive home safely, so it was up to Hancock to take him back. During this journey, Hancock had a heartfelt conversation with Mary, and they both started feeling a strong attraction towards each other. But just when the moment seemed full of anticipation, she unexpectedly pushed Hancock away with an incredible display of physical strength. She then got closer to him and made a chilling threat, saying she would kill Hancock if Ray ever found out about what happened between them. The next day, Ray was astonished to find his house wall completely destroyed. Mary was quick to assume that it was caused by Hancock's sneeze, and his mucus somehow penetrated the wall. Later, Hancock came back to visit Ray's house with the intention of talking to Mary. Just as Ray received a call from his boss, Hancock tried to test Mary's strength once again. He was still curious about why Mary seemed similar to him. However, she didn't want to explain their true nature while they were at Ray's house, so Hancock insisted that Mary come to his trailer to discuss the incident from the previous night. Meanwhile, Parker, who was imprisoned along with his surviving men, was planning to escape and seek revenge on Hancock, as his pride had been wounded. Long story short, Mary eventually went to Hancock's caravan. There, she agreed to answer all of his questions, but only on the condition that Hancock stayed away from Ray and Aaron. Without wasting any time, Hancock immediately asked about Mary's strength. Then, she revealed that they had both been alive for thousands of years and were often referred to as gods or angels. However, as time passed, superhumans like them became extinct, leaving only the two of them. Soon after, Hancock inquired about their relationship. There, Mary lied and claimed that they were siblings. However, Hancock, not believing her words, threatened to expose her true identity to Ray. Upon hearing Hancock's threat, Mary swiftly grabbed him and they engaged in an airborne scuffle. Meanwhile, Ray was giving a presentation to his client. Despite being advised to discuss Hancock's image as a brand ambassador, he once again emphasized the importance of the all-heart initiative. On the other hand, the battle between Hancock and Mary raged on, leading them to downtown Los Angeles. At that moment, Hancock found himself at a disadvantage against Mary's superior strength. Although he only sought answers about his past, Mary wanted him gone. Soon after, emotions ran high, and Hancock called Mary a crazy woman, provoking her anger. Then, she unleashed her powerful black cloud tornado technique and lifted a truck to slam into Hancock. Seeing that, he was taken aback. Despite the odds, he was determined to defeat Mary. Unfortunately, their fight intensified and recklessly caused destruction, including toppling a power pole that destroyed Ray's office. In the end, Hancock managed to immobilize Mary. There, she apologized for any mistakes she had made in the past. Unfortunately, despite Hancock's efforts, he still couldn't recall his past. Shortly after, Ray witnessed the incident and felt deeply disappointed by Mary's deception all along. Without wasting time, she immediately went after Ray at his house. But it turned out Ray learned the truth about all the lies, including his past relationship with Hancock. Astonishingly, they discovered that they were husband and wife since the time when Adolf Hitler was just a child. However, Mary explained that if they continued their relationship, one of them, either Mary or Hancock, would meet a tragic fate, as it was the unavoidable destiny for their kind. And that's why she made the difficult decision to leave him. Meanwhile, Hancock, feeling stressed, decided to stop by a convenience store to buy some rice. However, as he was about to pay, he noticed that the cashier seemed frightened because two robbers were hiding under the counter. Without hesitation, Hancock swiftly defeated one of the robbers mentally. Unfortunately, the other robber managed to take the cashier hostage at gunpoint. Thinking on his feet, Hancock grabbed a pack of chocolates and used them as weapons to overpower the robber. Unexpectedly, one of the robber's bullets managed to hit Hancock's stomach, which was a very unusual occurrence. Then, Hancock immediately collapsed and was rushed to the nearest hospital. Soon after, Ray and Aaron heard the unfortunate news and reporters bombarded Ray with questions. Meanwhile, Mary had already arrived at the hospital to visit Hancock. She urged Hancock to go far away because that was the only way he could regain his powers. Then, Mary stressed that if Hancock stayed close to her, he would eventually die. To convince him, she recounted their shared history. She explained that throughout different eras, they were almost always hunted down and killed simply because they were a couple. Eventually, Hancock experienced memory loss, leading Mary to realize that she had to stay away in order for him to live and fulfill his destiny as a hero. While they were in the midst of their conversation, Parker and his men suddenly arrived after escaping from prison. They immediately began shooting at Hancock. Sadly, one of the bullets struck Mary instead. Witnessing this, Hancock became enraged and unleashed his remaining strength, even though he was no longer invulnerable. Without wasting time, he swiftly moved Mary to a safe location and shielded Ray and Aaron, who had just arrived at the hospital. Then, as Hancock fought against Parker, the doctors rushed to attend to Mary's wounds. However, Parker's men managed to regain their footing and caught Hancock off guard, stabbing him. With his powers diminishing, Hancock fought back like an ordinary human, searching for his enemy's weak points. Eventually, he hurled one of Parker's men out of the window. But the relentless shots from Parker took their toll on Hancock, causing him to weaken and collapse. Fortunately, just as Parker was about to deliver a final fatal shot to Hancock, Ray arrived and fiercely attacked Parker, causing him to lose his other arm. Although Hancock had lost consciousness, he soon regained it because he couldn't bear to let Mary die. It seemed that their strength and pain were somehow connected, especially when they were close to each other. In the end, Hancock managed to rise once more and jump from the top floor. By distancing himself, he miraculously revived Mary's heart. The scene ends by showing the events 1 month later, following the hospital incident. At that time, Ray and Mary's relationship has fully mended and is as strong as it was before. Hancock, on the other hand, is no longer without a job. As a special gesture, Hancock presents Ray with a remarkable gift, and it was a depiction of the all-heart logo drawn on the surface of the moon. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is if you have superpowers, be careful not to destroy public property, flirt with strangers, or fight in prisons. And always remember, it's important to share spaghetti meatballs with new friends.